Peace, everybody. Welcome to Capital Combat. The name says it all. It's Hakeem coming at you, and today we're going to be talking about the pay-per-view event between Errol the True Spence and Mikey Garcia, who's coming up 2 divisions to challenge Spence for his welterweight title. Now, also on this card, you got David Benavidez versus Jalen Love. You got Luis Neri versus McJoe Arroyo, and then you got Chris Arreola versus Jean-Pierre Augustin. Now, I'm going to touch on those a little bit. We haven't seen Chris Arreola in a while. This is, kind of his fight to get back into the heavyweight picture, which is pretty wide open as far as contenders right now. You got the logjam at the top between Joshua Fury and Wilder. But other than that, you got a lot of guys fighting and scrapping to be that next guy to challenge one of those 3. So Arreola is trying to get back into that conversation. He's already faced Wilder and suffered a defeat. But with a few good performances and the politics of the sport, he may be able to get back in there real quick. As far as Neri, I'm not familiar if I've seen him or not, but he is highly touted, and McJoe Arroyo is actually a really good fighter as well. So let me move on to Jalen Love versus David Benavidez. Now, this is a match where Benavidez is, to me, this is kind of a stay busy fight. Benavidez should be in the title picture all the time based on who he's fought, the titles he's had to defend, and his stature in the 168-pound division. He should be going after the Callum Smiths, the Gilberto Ramirez's, and the like, so he can be that #1 guy in the division. In Love, we got a guy who was almost a contender, but is pretty much right now just a name guy because of his affiliation with Floyd Mayweather. Hasn't really hit that hump of being a contender or a title prospect. He was a prospect, had a few setbacks, missed some weight, lost a fight, had some close ones, and now we're here. In this fight, I expect the activity of Benavidez and the size advantage to carry him to a victory. He likes to string rapid fire combinations. He has excellent power. He has a good boxing temperament where he knows when to do what. His IQ is excellent. So Love gets really hesitant. He can sometimes use his jab effectively, and then he forgets to do it. He can also be discouraged pretty easily. So I expect that to happen here against Benavidez, and possibly Benavidez getting a stoppage in the late rounds, probably about 8 to 10. So let's talk about this main event. We got 2 highly skilled, highly touted fighters, both on the pound-for-pound list as far as subjective, who people can think beat anybody in any division. Mikey Garcia is going out to prove that pound for pound, he is one of the best fighters in the sport because he's jumping up 2 divisions to face the boogeyman of the division in Errol Spence. Now, there's some things that Mikey Garcia says he sees in Errol Spence that he can take advantage of. We'll see what those are, especially with, it's been pounded into our brain. It's very obvious that there's a distinct size advantage going into this fight. You see them staying next to each other. Errol Spence has like 3.5 to 4 inches of height on him. He walks around probably close to 200 pounds. The dude is huge. Garcia, on the other hand, is not a small guy. And while he doesn't have that physical look of an athletic fighter, that's one of the things that people kind of underestimate with him. Mikey Garcia is very athletic. It takes a lot of athleticism to be in the right position at all times like Mikey Garcia is. Mikey Garcia's footwork allows him to be where he needs to be to land a punch and to negate his opponent's offense at the same time. and he's very good at that. However, so is Errol Spence. Errol Spence is known as that seek and destroy guy, that he's just going to come in there and bully you and beat you up. But his boxing IQ is underrated, like Garcia's athleticism is underrated. So he can set traps. He can lull you into a fight where you think you're safe, or he can put the pressure on you intelligently to where you feel suffocated in the ring. He can do both. He has a very good jab. That left hand is bananas. His right hooks do damage. And the big question is, can Mikey Garcia keep him off of him for 12 rounds? Most of us think no. I'm in that school of thought as well. I don't think he'd be able to keep him off of him for a full 12 rounds. I also don't think he'll be able to hurt Errol Spence to the point where he could get him to back up and respect his power either. So I expect Garcia to move, create some angles, use his jab, try to find ways to get in on Spence. And Spence is probably going to test him out in the first minute to 2 minutes to see what he has. And then he's probably going to start walking him down. If he doesn't have anything that's going to deter Spence from just walking him down and annihilating him, then that's what's going to happen. This is a guy who, to this day, is praised by Floyd Mayweather, one of the best fighters in our generation, about how good he is. And this was back when Mayweather was fighting several years ago. He had Errol Spence in for some fight camps of his, gave him some great work, which means that if you've seen Mayweather sparring, they go for 5 to 10 minute rounds. They are very, very, it's a high pressure environment where everyone is watching you spar. It's almost like a fight when you have sparring in Mayweather's gym. So for him to shine in that type of environment, and on top of that, from a lot of the footage that we see of Floyd Mayweather sparring, he goes a lot harder in sparring than he does in the fight. He prepares very hard so he can make it look easy in the ring. And Errol Spence was not able to make him do that. So that's why him and his camp still praise Errol Spence to this day. Now, does Mikey Garcia have the tools of Floyd Mayweather? Don't think so. Which is why I don't think this fight goes more than 8 rounds. This fight could get ugly really fast. And one of those cliches come to mind: a good big man beats a great little guy, because the skills match up, and then you have that size. So when you have someone who is fast, who is strong, who is athletic, who is smart, going to get someone of the same, with the same qualities, but walks around probably 20 to 30 pounds lighter than the aforementioned guy, you're looking at trouble. So I expect Spence to walk down behind his jab, keep Mikey Garcia off bait, and wear him out with hard, sharp punches over the course of this fight. Either the corner throws in the towel because of the punishment he takes, or he goes down several times and then they throw in the towel. I don't think he'll get a 10 count knockout on Garcia, but I think the damage will be enough to where his corner considers throwing in the towel to keep from him having long-term damage, because this is the type of fight that'll do that to you. So let me know what you think. Hit me up in the comment section. Say how many rounds you think Spence will get it done in. Or if you think Mikey can get it done, how does he get it done? I know he can pop in and out. He can create some angles. But with that size and reach disadvantage, it's going to be hard to get that done for 12 whole rounds unless he has put on enough mass to generate a bigger pop to get the respect of Spence. And Spence has fought some big dudes who have punching power, such as like Kell Brook, Lamont Peterson, guys who are big as well, and they could not keep him off of him. And Kell Brook hit him with some bombs, and they did not deter Errol Spence much. So someone coming up 2 divisions, as opposed to someone like Kell Brook, who was a, pretty much a 154 pounder who came down, who could still make 147, but barely. I'm not sure how much longer Errol Spence is going to be at 147 either. But that being said, I just have to reiterate that I don't think Garcia will have the firepower to keep him honest and respecting that he might get caught with something. So, that's probably nothing new from anything you've heard from anybody else, because this one's pretty easy to read as far as the climate of how this fight is gonna go. Most people are looking at it the same way, and we expect it to go like we thought. But with the caliber and the skill that we are expecting to see, we still want to see it. We still want to see if Errol Spence can pull it off. We want to see if Mikey Garcia can upset the apple cart and prove everyone wrong. And that's why we watch the fights. So subscribe if you haven't done so yet, because Rob, while he's out in LA right now, he's going to be hitting you all with the initial reaction as soon as the fight is over. A few days later, I'll come with the recap, breaking down the action in the ring. And you want to catch all of that, and also our other videos. So follow us on social media, subscribe, hit us up in the comments, do all of that, and we look forward to talking with you. So until the next video, fight on.
This is round 1 and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and gone. My fists are on fire, I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage, keep thinking that it's a game. I kick crime, hurricane. I told them I don't play, I'm liquid.
The Black Street Fighter.